Hi everyone, welcome to today's session on solar collectors. From the word itself, we know what a solar collector is. It is very evident that collector is any device which can collect the solar energy. So, solar collectors are basically, we'll see what a solar collector is. Introduction is it is any device that can collect the solar energy, and this energy can be used for various applications. That includes water heating, space heating, crop drying, etc. So in this throughout the session, we'll be seeing the different types of solar collectors, how they are classified, and we'll see two basic types in brief description. Okay, so first definition is it is a device that can collect the solar energy, and this energy is used for various applications. So any basic solar collector can basically consist of several pipes or tubes through which the fluid flows. The fluid can either be water or air. When it is for water heating, the pipe will contain the fluid as water. If it is for air heating, air will be circulating through the pipes. And it is surrounding a black material. What is the peculiarity of a black material? We know that black materials have the ability or the capacity to absorb as much as radiation as it can. It is a very good or it's a perfect absorber. So that is the main reason we use black materials in connection with these pipes. So this black material is called our absorber. That is the most important component of any solar collector. So that is given as the basic category involves a black material surrounding the pipes through which water or air circulates. So this black material has the ability to track the sunlight and use it for various applications. So this black material is called the absorber. That important phenomena has to be very clear. The next thing is these are basically active devices. They absorb the solar energy and we give it to different surroundings. Also, we have always noticed that these collectors are always placed on top of roofs or anywhere in open areas. So they have to be very sturdy. The construction assets should be very sturdy so that they can adapt to various weather conditions. They'll have to undergo a lot of, maybe they can be storm, rain, etc. So varying weather conditions have to be faced. So the basic requirement of any solar collector is it has to be very sturdy and strong. Next, let's see which are the different types. So broadly, solar collectors are classified into two types. One is the concentrating collectors and another one is non-concentrating collectors. So from the word itself, we know concentrating. What does that mean? Concentrating means the energy that comes from the sun is not taken as it is. It is being concentrated into a particular position and then used. When it is non-concentrating, it doesn't get concentrated. Nothing is done. The energy as such, the sunlight is as such taken and used for the application. So that is the broad classification. Now each of these concentrating and non-concentrating collectors can be further divided. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Let's take non-concentrating collectors. Non-concentrating collectors are again divided into flat plate collectors and evacuated tube collectors. In short, they are known as FPCs, flat plate collectors, and evacuated tubes are known as ETCs. So they are non-concentrating. They do not do any particular action for concentrating the radiation. Okay, and concentrating types are broadly classified into focus and non-focus type. So this focus as well as non-focus has again further classifications that we are not dealing here now. We'll just deal with what a flat plate collector is and what an evacuated tube collector is. Okay, so far we have seen the definition of a solar collector. The important part of any solar collector is its absorber. It has to be the whole structure or the whole unit has to be extremely strong to withstand the varying weather conditions. Then we saw classification. Broad classification is a concentrating collector and a non-concentrating collector. Concentrating collectors they always concentrate the radiation and then use, whereas non-concentrating collectors use the solar energy as it is and that is being used for various applications. The further classifications are FPCs and ETCs. Now we'll see into detail the non-concentrating collectors first category, which is the flat plate collectors. So here it is written as the collector area, that is the area on which the solar radiation falls, is exactly is same as the absorbing area. So as I said, every solar concentrator has or every solar collector has a very important component that is called the absorber. The peculiarity or the important distinguishing feature of the absorber is it should have the ability to absorb as much as solar radiation as it is. So it is always a blackened material. So in non-concentrating collectors, what we have to the most focusing point here is the collector area. Whatever falls is being transported or is being made to fall on the absorber. No kind of concentration or focusing is done there. Okay, that is one important phenomena. And in non-concentrating collectors, the most commonly used type is the flat plate collector. Then we have also ETCs, but the difference between these two are FPCs are normally used for low application ranges, low temperatures. You can attain temperatures up to 70 to 90 degrees Celsius, whereas ETCs can attain more than nearly 300 to 400 degrees Celsius. That is the main distinguishing feature between FPC and ETC. So that it has been converted into Fahrenheit here. Below ranges than 200 degree Fahrenheit are in FPCs, whereas ranges above 200 degree Fahrenheit can be used for ETCs. However, any non-concentrating collectors are in general used for low temperature applications. Only up to 500 degree Fahrenheit they can be used. Okay. Now let's see an FPC. This is a figure, this is an image of an FPC. From the name itself, it is a flat plate collector. So a flat plate collector has many important components. Let's start from the top part. The top part of an FPC is a glass cover, or it is also called a glazing. Glazing is basically a glass cover. So what is the peculiarity? We have always seen solar collectors or water heaters on the rooftops of our houses or companies, industries, etc. So where we have noticed that the top cover, or it is called the glazing, is always made of glass. What's the peculiarity of glass? We know that glass has the ability to transmit. It transmits whatever falls on it into the inner portions. So glass is basically used because it has good transmittance. So this glass, it could be up to 1 or 2 covers can be used in flat plate collectors. This glass, after this glass, we confront this black portion. This is called the absorber, as I said. Absorber is surrounded by a lot of tubes or the pipes. Through these tubes, we have the fluid which is flowing. The fluid can either be water in case of water heating. It could also be air if it is for space heating. So that is the fluid working. Fluid is passed through these pipes. It is surrounding this black area. The black area is called the absorber. So once the solar radiation falls on the glasses or the glazing, the glass will transmit it towards the absorber. Absorber will do what? Absorber will absorb these radiations. It's a black material. It is a perfect absorber. It will absorb all of these radiations, and this heat is the black material is always surrounding the pipes. So this heat gets transferred to the pipes. Inside the pipes, we have the working fluid, which is water or air. So that is how this operation basically happens. So the main components are, the most important component is absorber. Above that, we have a glass plate. Then there are tubes through which the fluid flows. And then we have one more important component, which is called the insulation. Okay, insulations are there on the sides as well as the bottom. What is the purpose of insulation? We all know that insulation is basically to prevent the losses. The heat itself should be contained in this whole equipment. It shouldn't go out of the equipment. So just to prevent the losses to the atmosphere, we have kept in insulation, which is basically it could be wood, glass wool, mineral wool type of materials are surrounding these materials so that the heat doesn't transfer or it doesn't get out of the equipment. So we have insulation on the sides, we have a glass plate, inside that there's an absorber plate, surround the absorber plate we have tubes. Through these tubes what happens? The fluid flows. This fluid is finally taken out of that outlet connection. We have an inlet connection, there's an outlet connection. Hope this explanation of our working is clear to you now. Okay. So construction and working. As I said, there is a metal box that has some sort of transparent glazing. That is normally glass. That is a covering to the flat plate collector. Through this glass, solar radiation enters. Then at the sides and bottom, we have insulation. Purpose of insulation is to minimize the heat losses to the other parts of the collector. Then what do we have? Inside we have the absorber plate. It is the most important component of any solar collector. Okay, so this absorber plate will absorb maximum radiation and that is being transferred to the water or air. If it is transferred to water, it becomes a water heater. If air is used inside, it is used for space heating or it could be used for crop drying and such other applications. Okay, sometimes these absorber plates are painted with special coatings. So as I said, black materials have a very high capability to absorb. So in order to increase the absorption, we give special type of coatings like black paints. Better than traditional black paints, we can give certain designated special coatings over the absorber plate to increase its absorptivity. Okay, they are usually made of metals, that is a good conductor. Usually copper or aluminum is used for these pipes. Next, let's go to the next type of non-concentrating type solar collectors. Okay, so collectors are basically concentrating and non-concentrating. In non-concentrating itself, we have two major types. One is FPC, which is flat plate collector. That is what we just saw now. And the next one is ETC, or the evacuated tube collectors. Evacuated tube collectors, from the word we know, evacuation. Just focus on the first word. Evacuate means you are taking out air or you are creating a vacuum. That is why the name is evacuated tube collectors. So how is this collector different from a flat plate collector? As I said, a flat plate collector, basically there is a glass plate, then we have an absorber plate, and within the absorber plate there are tubes. So there is a space between this glass plate and the absorber plate. There's a space of air. So through the space there are chances, high probability of heat getting lost. So that shouldn't happen. That can be a portion where we can save a lot of energy. So what we do is we designed a new type of a solar collector called evacuated tube collector, where the space between the glass and the absorber is vacuumized. We are taking out the air out of it. We are creating a vacuum there so that the heat loss through that portion, the convective heat loss through that portion doesn't occur. Okay. So to avoid the heat loss between the glazing is the glass, and absorber plate, the space between the plates is evacuated. Evacuating means you are vacuumizing it. You are creating a vacuum there. Such a configuration is called evacuated tube collector. Also, ETC utilizes individual rounded tubes. I'll show you the configuration. These are the individual rounded tubes of an ETC. Okay, each of this ETC has a glass plate, there is an absorber plate, and then the fluid tube. Clear? And like that, it is a connection of many parallelly you place a lot of rows like that to create an ETC. In this ETC, we have rounded tubes. Each of these rounded tubes consist of what all? It consists of a glass plate, absorber plate, and the fluid tube, or the pipe through which the fluid works. So the space, just that the space between this absorber plate and the glass plate is vacuumized. Such a collection, we have such a lot of rows are there. They are arranged parallelly and then they connected to the main header. This is also called the manifold. Manifold means it can accommodate many tubes. So all these tubes go into the manifold, and in the manifold there is an inlet and an outlet. Now this is a figure of an evacuated tube collector which is used for water heating. So at the inlet we have a cold water inlet, and the outlet we have shown a hot water out. So through this inlet, when cold water comes, they confront these tubes. These tubes are collecting the solar radiation, and the heat is being transferred into this main header. Okay. So into the main header, the heat is being transferred, and that heat finally comes out as hot water. So let's just summarize an ETC once more. As I said, just to avoid the heat loss between the glass plate and the absorber plate, we create a vacuum there. That vacuum is what makes it special. That is why it is called an evacuated tube collector. So there are many particular separate units. That is why it is called. Rounded tubes are there. They are always perpendicular to the sun rays. Why is it perpendicular? When it is perpendicular, we can absorb the maximum solar radiation. We can collect the maximum radiation. So this allows it to operate at a much high efficiency as well as higher temperature than a single flat plate collector. Flat plate collector, as we saw, is a box. It is a metal container. Inside that there is a glass. On top there is a glass plate. Inside an absorber plate, and in an absorber plate we are embedding different tubes. But this is different. ETC, we have individual glass tubes, rounded tubes. Each of them will absorb it and pass it to the header. Okay, there is evacuation or vacuum in the space between the absorber plate and the glass plate. So this is why we can say that since there is evacuation in each of the tubes, this has higher temperature as well as it works at a much higher efficiency than FPC. But both of these, FPC as well as ETC, are non-concentrating. We are not doing any particular action to concentrate the solar radiation. We just use it as it is, and that is being transported to the medium. Okay, the evacuated tube collector consists of a number of rows of parallel tubes that are connected to the header pipes. So I hope in this session you are clear with what a solar collector is. Then we have also seen a solar collector, the different types, basically concentrating and non-concentrating. And in non-concentrating, we discussed what an FPC is as well as what an ETC is. The basic diagram with the main components of both have been discussed in this session. Thank you.